Rizzo the Dawg, live during the Subway Series, and Diamond Diehards is on! Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. Making it pithy tonight because they're warming up at Yankee Stadium as we do this on a Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. Mets and Yankees in first place. Mets and Yankees playing one another for the final time in the regular season. But hopefully for us, not the last time this season. You can follow us on the podcast everywhere at Diamond Diehards. So if you're listening to this or watching this, subscribe or follow. We're going to try to open this thing a little quicker than we have been. Here's what's going to happen in this show. We're going to do Veteran of the Day. We're going to talk about the Subway Series, deGrom, Garrett Cole not making appearances in it. Is this a legit World Series preview? We'll talk a little bit about Jordan Montgomery and his sudden morph into Cy Young. Fernando Tatis Jr. apologizes, then is getting shoulder surgery. Walker Buehler, another Tommy John. Are the Angels finally for sale, and does that bring Rod Carew back into the fold? And then we'll do Die Hard Dad. So, without any further ado, it's the dog with Veteran of the Day. Welcome, dog.
All right, thanks, Riz. Our veteran of the day is Sergeant First Class Francisco Morales. Sergeant Morales was honored by awarded the Silver Star for actions in Afghanistan back in 2006 with the 10th Mountain Division, and he continues to serve today, helping veterans, leading up the Veterans Office at St. Bonaventure University. So a hat tip to our friend Father Russ for the Veteran of the Day. We love to get those in. And once again, our Veteran of the Day, Silver Star recipient, Sergeant First Class Francisco Morales.
Thank you, Father Russ, for providing that one. Yankees and Mets about to get underway. Mets took the first two at Citi Field. The Yankees take Max Scherzer yard, courtesy of Aaron Judge, and that gives them the little leg up for the third game, and now the fourth and final regular season game about to take place. So if you're listening to this afterward and you know the result, that's fine. But if you're participating with us now, that is even better, and we are glad to have you with us. Dog, this Subway Series, it's just a little bit more exciting than it's been in past years, right? It definitely from a Yankee standpoint, and I feel like from a Mets standpoint, even probably more so. Agree?
Yeah, I think especially, I mean, I felt it a little bit more, I guess, the first game, or the first two at Citi Field. But yeah, I think, it's exciting. It's a really, everyone sort of feels like this could be a preview. It's the first time they ever met, both being in first place last time, and they're both still in first place this time. So maybe the ship's maybe moving a little bit different direction, but we'll see. Maybe this kind of sparks the Yankees and gets them kind of going. So yeah, pretty exciting times, pretty evenly matched team. Two good teams getting at it. So fun times.
Does the Met fan want this one more than the Yankee fan? That's what it's been like in the past. But I feel like from a Yankee standpoint, the first series was not as important. This series feels much more important, and I felt like the win on Monday was really big for the Yankees, because here's why. On Sunday they faced Alek Manoah, and he was on the All-Star team this year for the Blue Jays, and they came up and they won that game. And the Yankees have been playing like shit. They've been the worst team in the league, even worse than the Tigers, since the start of August. And so they beat Manoah. Granted, he's not the hottest pitcher right now, but he's still a frontline guy on a competitive team that's going to be there probably in the playoffs. And then, of course, they beat Scherzer. They're the Mets. You want to call him the 1A, the 1B, whatever it is, right? I mean, he's the 1A, right? Because right now with deGrom's not on. He's not on that full throttle yet. I mean, by the time the playoffs start, we'll see who goes in game 1 and game 2. I don't think it doesn't really matter that much. You just get both guys in there in the first two games, and it doesn't even matter. But I felt like it was big for the Yankees to beat Scherzer, and it was a real bolster to have them win with, the guy who's basically their fifth starter at this point, Domingo Germán, who pitched, surprisingly well. He's not a guy that I particularly love for a bunch of reasons. But
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. I thought it was interesting, kind of multiple levels for this, to be honest. For one of rare times, it did really feel like the Yankees really needed it more than the Mets at this time, which is unusual for the Subway Series. Most time it's kind of the other way on that. But the Yankees, kind of being down, kind of need it. And I think they went out and it was interesting. I thought they really attacked it. Now I'll give a little hat tip to Boone on this. They were kind of pulling the Mets on them, where they were going out and playing a little bit of small ball, like sacrificing run over on in the first inning. Very unusual sort of stuff for the Yankees. Trying to manufacture runs, and it worked. And maybe give them that the little bit of a spark. The Bantena getting hit to start the game after Nimmo getting hit. Came around to score, so that's got to fire up the team a little bit there too, I think. So I think that was big for them. I think the Mets were kind of flat. They were wiped out. This is the end of a road trip for them. It was a pretty tough road trip. They had a really thrilling game against the Phillies on Sunday. It kind of used up all their gas and their juice into that one, and it was great to see them hold on and win that and come back and win that game 10-9. And I think they just kind of came out a little flat on that one. And so it felt like the whole sort of game, it kind of felt like that to me. Like, they're trying to get a quick hit, they're trying to get a Germán, and it just wasn't quite happening. So they tightened it up a little bit, but yeah, this was one that the Yanks I think really circled up and it's like, we got to have, and to their credit, they went out and did it.
I like that you're talking about how Boone was playing a little buckball, right? I mean, I immediately said it in our our little chat. I'm like he's playing buckball, and the Yankees have to be able to do more of that if they want to be able to win these big games against great pitchers in a playoff type scenario, because that's what they're going to be facing. Like, they're not, not every guy is going to be deGrom, not every guy is going to be Scherzer, but some guys are going to be Verlander, and some guys are going to be, whoever else the Astros throw at them, which is always like Yankee kryptonite when they get to when they get to their playoff series with Houston, in the years that it's actually happened, which is not every year, but it's been a few years in this run. Wild card game, playoff series, whatever. The Astros have always had their number, no matter who they were throwing out there. Dallas Keuchel, Lance McCullers, Verlander, you name it. They just figure out a way to get Yankees out in a big spot. But this year, it's kind of interesting, Dawg, because I felt the one thing the Yankees had done well, as they ran off to that tremendous start, was that they weren't so dependent on the home run as they had been in years past, because they had guys at the bottom of the lineup that could not strike out. And even though they weren't like big on base guys or huge average guys, they're guys that could handle the bat. They're guys that could, hit and run, maybe steal a base here and there, make higher rates of contact. But, it's kind of funny, Dawg, like as their numbers have, from a record and winning percentage standpoint, I'm making a gesture with my hand that they've gone down, but let's face it, they've kind of regressed toward the mean, right? Like, if they had played they were playing on like a 120 win pace or something, like that was going to be virtually impossible for them to keep up. And now they're having the natural lull here, and maybe I think they're already starting to come out of it. But what's changed in their numbers is that they've become, like, once again, I mean, they're the best home run hitting team in the majors, but they're also more dependent on the home run, in terms of the percentage of their runs than any other team. I think what we have to examine is, when you take out the percentage of runs that haven't come from home runs, how many runs have they scored compared to other teams? When you take, like, if you removed all home runs, right? How many runs have the Yankees scored compared to the rest of the league? Now, I didn't go through and do that stat because I kind of just like came up with that off the top of my head right now. But it seems like that would probably be a better measure of what we're talking about and what we need to know. We know that the Mets have done their share of it, But you know, the Mets have been very dependent on the home run, like in that great comeback against the Phillies. I mean, that was homer central, right? And they've hit a lot more home runs this year than we've seen them in previous years. So I wonder, you know, when the Mets run into great pitching, uh, then are they going to be able to handle it, you know, or is it the fact that their starters are going to get them, you know, maybe through 7 or 8, and then they get to, you know, Diaz in the eighth or ninth? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple players um, on the Mets are that do sort of stand out in like those sorts of situations, right? I mean, Lindor is starting to kind of come along with that. Nimmo's always been a tough guy to get out. McNeil has come back. He's really kind of the McNeil of like 2019, right? That was kind of coming up. He's come back to his roots after getting a little power happy for a little while, and I think it's he's just his average went up tremendously, right? He's in the Duke out for the title, and Marte as well. So like kind of those guys kind of grouped together, I think are starting to solidify that up. Maybe a Beatty coming in as a rookie may sort of help give him a spark with that. I think you're highlighting spot on earlier with the Yankees that they're broadening down a little bit. They're getting they're getting better defense. They're getting a little bit more average in the mix and so forth. The spot. I think you're correct. I think they are still a little home run dependent, but they're starting to balance out into a more well-rounded offense that you've seen from the Yankees in the past. And again, sort of sets up more for like the traditional playoff sort of offense. And it did sort of feel like yesterday, like kind of talked about, this did feel a little bit like a playoff game, right? So kind of the pitching and defense a little bit, kind of keeping it tight, lower scoring game. Definitely did have that sort of feel.
So not just me, right? Like, I mean,
No,
it felt like a playoff game, a playoff atmosphere. You know, I think it's interesting. Tickets have been really hard to come by, which is something that we haven't seen in like sports, right? In a while. Like even Mad Dog Russo was talking the other day. I think it was on his Monday show where he's like, you know, the Yankees are always good to me, but I can't, you know, I'm asking and I can't get anything. They don't have any tickets even for me. I'm like, you know, dog, you could go on the not
little
Jeff
stubby
Healy.
hubby, right?
I'm like, you could go on StubHub like the average
Step up.
human, you know, and pay a shitload to get into the stadium if you want.
Yeah, and write
But
it off.
yeah, and write it off. That's right. Yeah, he could do that. But you know, that's kind of cool too. That
Yeah.
this has become a hot ticket again. And you know, I mean, listen, the Subway Series, that was a World Series. You know, you and I were certainly old enough and in our primes when that was going on, and it just like the build up to it
Dog didn't have the
was.
fastball, but I had a little bit of a slider still.
You did, yeah. You didn't, your fastball wasn't as fast, but your
I
location was pretty
a little
good.
bit. Yeah, a
Your
little,
your
little bit off the peak. So
your
keep 'em
loca- your
honest.
your location was really good, as evidenced by all the Healys that were born around that time. Yeah. And there were a lot, folks. There were a lot. Um, it just it captivated New York. It kind of did it for a while. It didn't play nationally. It was like a really badly rated World Series, and just the way that the games went. I mean, listen, for a Yankee fan, there was a lot of relief to it, and you know, for the Met fan, there was definitely the angst of losing in five and have the Yanks, you know, winning on the field of Shea. But I feel like this year, if we get it, that it's not going to be a dud. I feel like this year, it's if we get it, it's just going to be better. And I'm not sure why I feel that way. Maybe it was because in 2000, um, the Yanks were clearly the favorite, right? Like if the Mets were going to beat them, it was going to be a
It would have been a wild underdog story. Yeah.
yeah, it would have been, you know, a real culmination. But now, if they get there, I don't even know who would be favored. I mean, if you have a healthy Scherzer and a healthy deGrom, and their pitching sets up that they could pitch in games 1 and 2, I mean, the Mets are going to be the favorite, right? They're going to be they're going to be the betting favorite, even no matter who the Yankees are pitching in games 1 and 2 against them. So I think that creates the drama. I think it stokes the fires a little more, and I think there's just the way baseball is now, it's kind of weird. it's in some ways I feel like it's become a little bit more of a national game now than it was even in 2000. I could be totally off on that, but I feel like there's a little more appeal now that like the Yankees haven't been in it in a while and the Mets haven't really been. I mean, the Mets have been in there more recently than the Yankees, meaning the World Series. But I feel like there's a little more national appeal if these two teams get there. Um, there's not as much like people being sick of the Yankees being in the World Series for the fourth time in 5 years, right? They haven't even been there since 2019. You know, the Mets were there in 2015. They almost got, they got back to the playoffs right in 2016, and then we haven't seen them since, and now they're resurging. So I feel like if we do get it, I feel like if we do get it, that it's going to be not a dud as long as the Yankees win.
Um, yeah, I mean, it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun for and I think we've sort of said in the past, obviously parochial on our part, but I think it's good when baseball's good in New York. I think it's good for the game, right? It's still New York is still one of the media capitals, and like it's obviously strong in LA as well, right? So I mean, having that presence, I think is big. Everyone's doing fantasy now, right? So like everyone's following players. Everybody's got Judge. Everyone's got Alonso, Lindor, right? So I think that's sort of part of it too. Like even versus like 2000, like you were kind of just getting to the fantasy game. Now like everything's all about the players, and it's a little bit less so about the teams. So I think that sort of naturally makes people a little bit more interested from a national perspective. Um, yeah, I think it'd be great. We got a little ways to go between there. We got a couple good teams on each league that the Yanks and Mets both have to go through. But it would be fun. Maybe it goes the right way this time. Maybe we don't throw bats at each other this time. That'd be nice too.
Yeah, well, I think he thought it was the ball. He thought it
Oh
was
yeah,
the ball.
sure. Yeah, of course we thought it was the ball.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna save that for the playoff dog.
Oh man, my buddy Paul, he's on the chat as PJ. He wants to know why I hate Montgomery so much. Lights out lefty. I said we would be doing an entire segment on Montgomery today to
Yes,
see
we
how much
will.
I hate him.
Yep.
And he says awesome. I'll let Bader know since it will take him an hour or two to get to his phone. Hard to move with a bum wheel. So we will get to that in a little bit. But we want to remind you the follows on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8 for the dog. And I'm at Diamond Diehards. So check us out on Twitter. And like I said earlier, no matter how you're consuming this, if you're on the Facebook group and it's live, make sure you subscribe to that Facebook group, Diamond Diehards parentheses community, or even the Diamond Diehards page. That's more like the business page, but I don't know. Facebook just makes you do all these things, and they're harder to figure out sometimes. I'm a Spotify guy, so when I re-listen to the shows, I do it there. But we also put them on YouTube, and they're on Apple Podcasts. That's really the place where we get most of our listeners from. And we do need you to support the podcast from that way, even if you're watching the live stream. You could do what's called an Uncle Paul. Sometimes you only catch the live stream in pieces, and you like to go back and listen to it when you're out walking the dog or taking a walk, or you're on the treadmill, or doing whatever else it is. So we need your support, and hopefully we can continue to count on it now and in the future. So, Dawg, we get at first, it looks like we're going to get Scherzer and deGrom, and then Buck before the game on Monday that opened the series said it's not going to be deGrom in the second game. It's going to be Taijuan Walker, and that's against the Yankees' new piece here, Frankie Montas. So a little less sexy of a matchup. But so, if you're watching these 4 games, you don't see Garrett Cole pitch for the Yankees against the Mets, and you don't see Jacob deGrom pitch for the Mets against the Yankees. Is that a precaution in case these teams would face each other in the World Series, that they now haven't given even one look for the opposing team at that pitcher for the season? Or is that, am I overrating it? a little bit there. I mean, especially the fact that the Mets threw Scherzer twice against the Yankees in 4 games. The Yankees have faced the Mets what 3 times, at this moment, and 2 times they've faced Scherzer, so they've gotten a good look at him.
Yeah, I think with deGrom, I think it just sort of helped. They kind of lined up a little bit better with for the Mets. I think they wanted to kind of split up Scherzer and deGrom. They could use, particularly with the back of the rotation's been off a little bit with some of the injuries and so forth. So like to try and split up 2 guys who should generally be kind of stoppers and go deeper in the game. I think sort of is a little healthier for the bullpen at this point. I'll say a little bit of gamesmanship that maybe if you're the Mets and you go deGrom, Scherzer, and you go 0 for 2 in Yankee Stadium, feel great about that. If you go Scherzer and Walker at this point, and you go down 0-2 and you split the season series, it's not as big of a deal. And hey, you got deGrom going, and a win is a win. And take the easy one against the Rockies on Thursday. So maybe a little bit of a game on that, and probably just a little bit of extra rest with deGrom. He took a step up last time with his innings pitched as well, or number of pitches. So I think they're trying to kind of work him back there. So I think it kind of lent itself towards it's not the worst idea on multiple levels to kind of kick deGrom to the right.
Okay, Dawg. We can't do play-by-play here, but it's a 1-2 count to the first batter, Nemo. Okay. Where are you at? So I was just like, if people saw me on the video looking down, I was just making sure I had the game on the SMY app there because it's not on Yes tonight for some reason. I guess
Yeah, it's on
somewhere
TBS
else.
tonight.
Oh, TBS.
Which hopefully means Ronnie's on it at least. Thank God.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, let's see, I got the Gamecast going here. I guess I could try throwing it on here.
Well, I have it.
The Dawg can only handle so many social medias at a time.
Well, if you get,
I got like 4 screens going here, which I'm a trader. You would think I could do better at this, but
yeah, I know.
Not when I'm talking.
He's a TRADER, not a TRAITOR.
Actually, I've lost my fast. I'm an analyst now anyway. I've lost my fastball on that too.
Hey,
I'll take my time. Right up.
Can't be an analyst without the anal.
Especially a credit analyst. That is correct. Yeah. So I'm on the Gamecast right now. So I got the 1-0 account against Marte.
Okay, so you're ahead of me. You're a pitch ahead of me. Okay, so that's fine.
Oh, close.
If you turn on your video, just let me know where you're at, so we can kind of sync up. So Dawg's in a little bit of spoiler mode. That's fine. I usually end up talking a little bit more during this whole thing. Okay, Dawg, legit World Series preview. A lot of people and the odds makers definitely seem to think so, but with and we'll get to this later, but Walker Buehler now officially out for the rest of the season. I think we knew he was going to be out for the season, but now when he gets the second Tommy John surgery here, it's it becomes bigger news or more in the spotlight. So is this the legit World Series preview, or are we just overstepping a little bit? Is this not the most likely matchup in the culmination of the 2022 baseball season?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly a high percent. I wouldn't say it's like the odds-on favorite at this point. Again, I mean, the Dodgers are Dodgers are the Dodgers, right? I mean, hell, even the Braves can are sticking around playing hard and played well against the Mets as well. So I mean, there's a couple teams that can knock the Metsies out, certainly on this side, and you got the Astros on the other side. So it's still probably a less than 50% chance you get Yanks Mets, putting it all together there. But if you argue, it's a real stretch, I think, for the Mets to be the odds-on favorite, even with the NL. So you put it together, it's probably a 25% chance that we come up and meet.
Dawg, more importantly, the Riz same game parlay is off to a good start as Starling Marte gets a hit.
It's actually, that's another great point actually on when we were talking about the national aspect, right? How much more with sports betting, and just that that was so much more limited back in 2000. Right? Like everyone's playing these things now, right? So like I said, now all of a sudden you're kind of happy Starling Marte got a hit, because he's involved there for you.
That is a great point, and I didn't really think about that, but that certainly does broaden the national appeal because these are teams that are in the forefront. And look, let's face it, the better teams are the ones that are more often coming up in people's wagers, and I mean, I know that from my own personal experience, but also from a fan type experience. I mean, I know it from industry experience as well, because that's an industry that I've worked in for a long time. But yeah, that is an interesting point. I don't know if it's going to drive ratings or streams or whatever much more. The ratings every year for TV are going down and down and down because there's just more ways to consume it, and there's different ways that younger users especially are consuming baseball these days. And one of them is just they're just watching it, kind of like watching where their bet is going, and not even necessarily like monitoring the game in terms of video or audio the way that we would do it. So very cool thought there by the dog. Okay, now the segment we've all been waiting for. As Mike Serra puts it, Jordan Montgomery or Lefty Grove, who do you take in Game 7? I'll hang up and listen. Maybe you should just hang up. You don't even want to listen. You've already heard it 12 times already.
Folks, oh boy, here we go.
Okay. Jordan Montgomery's parents are surprised that he's pitching this well. Because even they did not believe it.
Jordan Montgomery is Jordan Montgomery. He's Walter Johnson.
Yeah, he's Lefty Grove. There we go. I had to change my lighting there a little bit. I think it was a little too bright. I gotta dim light myself after my Jordan Montgomery thing. Okay, here's the bottom line. Mike Serra and Paul Marisco, and Glenn Santos, who I have to battle offline on this all the time. If you think a trade can be determined as who won and who lost after one guy is in a walking boot and he's not there except for, he's meant to help your team either in the playoffs and or the following.
I killed you on that right away.
And or the following season. Okay? Right. Either in the playoffs and or the following season. And I know the guy's in a walking boot, okay? The guy's the best defensive outfielder in the league. He's if he hits as an average major leaguer, it's a huge bonus, and you're going to be well off with him there in center field, no problem. The Cardinals had a dearth of people to play the position. The Yankees have Aaron Hicks, Dog's favorite player, and Judge when they move him over there. But even with Judge in center, who I love, and I love him there, the Yankee center fielders have had the worst defensive metrics for a while now, and Ryan Bader has by far the best defensive ones for center field. So you have an area where you're 32nd and you have a guy available, not for 6 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it's going to be, who's first. That's a big thing that you could move up in. Now, is it going to be the difference between you winning the World Series and not winning the World Series? How the hell do I know? But I could tell you this. Jordan Montgomery, if that was a guy that they were willing to trade, right, and they already acquired the guy that's pitching for them as we're streaming this show, Frankie Montas, if he was the guy that they were willing to trade, the Yankees still have 5 guys with Luis Severino on the injured list. They still have 5 guys who are starting. They're not taking the 5th guy and cobbling him out of somewhere. You could decide if it's Jamison Tyone or Domingo Germán as the 4th or 5th starter, but, the 2 of them are the 4th and 5th starters, whichever way you want to put it. Now, is Jordan Montgomery better than either of the 2 of them? Well, if you take the last 4 games, he is, but if you take the first part of the season, he wasn't really better. The team didn't perform better when he started a game. His win-loss record was 3-3 for a team that was 70-34, whatever. Okay, fine. Wins and losses. My buddy Paul, he says, Felix Hernandez won the Cy Young with 10 wins one year, whatever it was, with a losing record. Fine, I'll give you that. The team was 9-12 in games that he started. Dog, they had 36 losses or whatever at the time. They had 33 losses at the time. So when he started, they lost 12 games. When everybody else started, they lost 21 games.
Because they can give many hits, get many runs.
They're the highest scoring team in the league.
Now when that guy pitches, wait, how many runs you got to score for Cole? You got to take the Mikey line here. By the way, you're loving affecting Montez already his first and second with the polar bear up. You're walking something nice right now, my friend.
Actually, you're talking about ice, and I just got a piece of ice out of my water bottle. Look, I don't know what Frankie Montas is yet.
And you train for a guy who's in a walking boot to play center field. I don't know. That other part of the equation, I'm not quite so sure on.
Dog, if the end game, look.
For next year, sure. So
okay.
You're doing trade deadline moves. You don't know if the guy can actually physically play the game. That's a little dice roll right there.
Dog, next year, listen, if Jordan Montgomery continued pitching the way he was pitching for the Yankees, right?
I hate the pickoff move at second base, by the way. I hate it. I hate Little League. I hate it in Major League. Such a horrible upside downside on that play.
As Dog says
nothing happened on it.
I'm like, why?
But it's a stupid play. Almost never works, and like, it's just as many times you throw in center field and the guy goes to third base.
I'm like, why is Dog saying that? And then I look down at my screen and there's the pickoff. Like, oh, no. So he's Dog's still on Gamecast. That's what that means.
Actually, I hopped on. I hopped on now, so I'm on the Hulu.
All right. So listen, he doesn't have run support, but he's pitching for the highest scoring team in the league. So you mean to tell me that he's going to go to a team that doesn't score as many runs? Well, you know why he's winning games now? Because he's pitching better. I mean, his whip has gone down to like 0.65, whereas for the Yankees it was double that. Here they're putting it up. Time out.
Jordan Montgomery on.
Awesome. SMY has it 4-0, 0.35 ERA, 3 walks, 24 Ks, 3.69 ERA, and 21 starts with the Yankees. Okay, so if he was going to pitch like, you know what? If he wanted to, if he loved the Yankees so much, why the frig didn't he pitch like that for them? Forget the run support. He doesn't need any run support if he's not letting up any runs.
Because he goes to the Cardinals, and somehow everyone magically goes to the Cardinals, and it's like fantastic.
You're right.
Does anyone ever go to the Cardinals and like underachieve?
No. You know why? You know why?
Because look at everybody on there.
They go to St. Louis and they get a different level of support. And I wish our buddy Butler Miller was on, and he comes on our live streams very often. He's forgotten more about St. Louis baseball than most people will ever know. So Butler, if you're there, chime in the comments. Why do they go to St. Louis? They get a different level of support in St. Louis as individual players and as a team. It's constant support. You're rarely booed, and you're buttressed and backed, with whatever you're doing. You're part of the effort over there, and a lot of players find that support to be the elixir for them. And if they can't. New York's hard, right? It's difficult. Not everybody can handle it. And now Paul's going to be going crazy.
Yankees throw him out of town.
He wanted to be there.
I'm totally feeding the meat into the Lions right now.
I know you are. He wanted to be there, unlike Joey Gallo, who was having a horrible experience. But I think that getting away from the pressure and the spot. Look, he could be putting the pressure on it. Montgomery could have been putting the pressure on himself to perform, but if we knew he was even capable of a 4-game run like this, they never would have traded him. They would have just kept him as the 4th starter or the 3rd starter or the first starter or whatever.
Think he never would have had that with the Yankees? Do you think it was just a pressure difference?
Well,
it's your first place team at Cardinals.
No, I will say this.
That's like a low stress.
Dog, come on. It's St. Louis. St. Louis supports their players like no other franchise supports their players. It's not just that there's no pressure. It's that there's a tremendous amount of support. So if he was going to the Pirates.
It's Yankee fans you who drove Montgomery out of New York.
No, it's not. It's guys like Mike Serra, Paul Marisco, and Glenn Santos. It's not me. It's them. It's not. Is it me or is it him? It's him, right? The Martin Short.
That's a throwback right there.
Is it me or is it him? It's him, right?
That was a great skit.
Oh my God. Hopefully you're old enough.
Yes, exactly.
So listen, I'm glad for Jordan Montgomery and Joey Gallo because I don't think they're bad guys. And they had very different experiences, but that's the only way I can explain Jordan Montgomery becoming Cy Young when he moves out of the hullabaloo of. And listen, for Gallo, the pressure was from the outside. From Montgomery, what I would surmise is that the pressure is from the inside, and now he's got that pressure off. And is he going to be an 0.35 ERA pitcher for the Cardinals for as long as his career? No, I mean he's going to come back to wherever he probably was. And if he's a little bit better in St. Louis, I wouldn't be surprised. If he's a little bit worse in St. Louis, I wouldn't be surprised. But the guy's just pushing 30. And he's been in the league 5 years, and what he was doing this season really wasn't much different from what he's done in his career. So why would you think that all of a sudden at 29 and 3/4 that he's going to turn into whatever he's doing? He's had a great 4-game run. It's possible he'll continue it. We've seen guys like Goldschmidt and Arenado, guys that are star players, and even like you said, Pujols, even another good example, that they go there and they perform at least to their previous records and sometimes even surpassing that. So maybe Montgomery's part of that group. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's a 4-game run and he gets his tits lit, the next 5 times he goes out there over the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He gets his what?
That's a baseball term. Come on. That's jabber.
I don't know if I heard that right.
Never heard that? You never heard that? Come on. I think
We'll go back.
I think if our pal Jeff Fry was on, he would know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what you say. Like, when a pitcher's getting smoked. You want me to say getting smoked? It's not a G-rated show. Everybody knows that. Okay, everybody knows that, Dog. Okay, it's not a G-rated show. Okay, if you want a G-rated show,
one F-bomb. Everyone knows rules.
Yeah. All right. So that's my thing about Montgomery.
Right. You drove him out of town. It's been horrible for you so far. Understand?
Misnomer.
Montez or Monty. And that was sort of your original one on it. That you liked Montez over Monty. Do you still stick with that?
Well, one guy has a way better track record than the other guy, and I'm not hung up on the lefty-righty thing anymore in this version of Yankee Stadium. I don't think it makes that much of a difference anymore.
Who do you want? Who'd you rather? Do you still want Montez?
Based on track record, I'd rather have. Who
do you want on the damn team now? Not with the track record. Who do you want pitching? Who would you rather be pitching right now? Monty or Montes? Now, this game right now.
Montes.
Okay, it's Montes. All right, it's Montes then. That's okay. We'll see how it works out.
The guy is just he's proven to be just a superior pitcher, and they're about the same age within a year. And he's got a much better track record.
Got him.
Oh, Dog ahead of me now. He can't do play-by-play.
Got tipped it off.
That's fine.
Not a lot though.
Now I gotta see it. Oh wait. He fouled it off.
Yeah, I thought he got him originally.
God damn it, Dog.
He was eyeing up that off speed like a lamb chop.
All right. I know we're okay. Mike Serra chimes in. More likely different pitching coach, different approach. Have all his games been in St. Louis? No, I don't think they have. I think he pitched at least one of them on the road. Bottom line, if they viewed Montgomery as a trading chip, they could, yeah. But if they view, which Wrigley, I mean, yeah, he was on the road in Wrigley. It was like 90% Cardinal fans. Bottom line, if they viewed Montgomery as a trading chip, they could have gotten more than a defense-first outfielder who can't even walk. But I think that's fair to say right now. But I think once Bader is back and healthy, I don't think the Cardinals are shopping him around and making him available in an off-season type deal. And I think they were looking to give up something to get something. Look, right now, Harrison Bader just looks like a pile of shit. He's a zero. He's a nothing. He hasn't played. So you can't even gauge what you've received, right? You got to do it on long term.
It's a strange deadline move. That's all.
Here's my mea culpa to you, and I'm gonna give you credit because on this show for 2 years I have slung arrows at you for the trade where the Mets gave up Jared Kelenic to get the albatross contract of Robinson Cano, and in order to get Edwin Diaz.
Here, get me on the side now. Okay.
No, I listen. I killed that trade
agree.
From day one. I destroyed that trade.
You were spot on correct.
Until this year. Now I'm wrong. There's no question that I'm wrong.
My argument in that whole thing was that it really was like it was a the thing I disputed at the time was that everyone was like, oh, it's Kelenic and Dunn for Cano, and like it was really Kelenic and Dunn for Diaz. And like
Yes, I agree with that.
and the money, and you can say the Mets are dumb and they shouldn't have, if you're eating all that money, like you should have gotten better. That's true. But like really it was Bruce, it was Swiatek, it was Cano, like all that stuff was in the mix, like going by there. It really was the two young guys for the young closer. Right. And if Kelenic goes off and becomes a 5-star player, then you know what, it may be better. But right now, Diaz is killing it. The first year, you know, Diaz was terrible and was killing mine. So yeah, so I think
Well, the problem was it wasn't
in the
just that
long
Diaz
run
was.
that trade's a lot closer than sort of was originally made out. And it was the whole Cano whatever. There was honestly, like, to me, it was too much on it.
Dawg, I got to tell you something. I've been on.
It was like a free shot at the Wilpons.
Well, that was the other thing. So here was the other thing. At the time, the Wilpons were taking on the Cano salary, which didn't make any sense at all. Because for Steve Cohen, it's not an albatross contract. Why? Because he just cut him. He's like, oh, I'll just cut him. I'll just eat it. But for the Wilpons, that wasn't the case. Yeah. That was a hamstringing type contract. It was an albatross. Here's the thing, Dawg. I was all in on Kelenic from the beginning, and now I've followed, as you know, I'm sitting there and flipping the games on the West Coast, and I'm watching these guys, or I'm looking at his at bats. Dawg, he's lost. I don't know if he's going to hit major league pitching at this point. He looks like he's been, going to Teacher Man or something, or Tragic nice. Ron for hitting. Dawg, he can't. There's guys that are throwing average major league fastballs and getting him out with pretty much like ease. He's an easy strikeout. Like, he's not even making contact. At least if he's making contact, making hard contact, whatever. Yeah.
Which is unusual. That was, I mean, his rep, he was a true 5-star guy.
Yeah,
so good average. So
I'm not going to say I'm completely out on him, but I do not like what I'm seeing at all. And he just can't even stay in the major leagues, and they keep giving him chance after chance. And, that's a good team, so they're not going to keep giving him chance after chance if they have a chance to break the longest playoff drought in the major leagues, which they own right now. So he's, he might not be back on that major league roster for the rest of the season, and he hasn't earned a spot. And J-Rod is, completely taken over their young superstar type situation. So there's, he could be a little bit of an afterthought. They don't have to get rid of him. They don't have to sell him yet. They could hope that they could fix him, but it hasn't happened yet. Diaz looks like a closer at the level that we really haven't seen in the majors for a while. I don't, listen, it's not fair to say he's Mariano, right? Because he's got to do it in a playoff scenario. But Doug, he's just overpowering guys. And even when he doesn't have his overpowering stuff combined with the location, he's still not giving up hits. Like that game against the Yankees where he got in trouble, right? He walked 2. He never actually gave up a hit.
Yeah.
And he finally had the run streak broken against the Phillies. They didn't exactly hit him around the ballpark, and it was 1 run, and he still got a save. So and Dawg, the closers around the majors are getting essentially worse and worse. Like, it used to be you could go out and you could name 10, 15 closers, and you'd be like, I'd take kind of any one of these guys. I mean, I'd take maybe these 5 first or these 5 second. He is so clearly head and shoulders above everybody else. And you're walking into the playoffs with that guy closing games for you, right? That's a huge advantage. The Yankees don't have that right now. We don't know if the Yankees are winning by a run in this game that's going on right now that we can't do play-by-play for. We have no idea who the Yankees would use to close the game tonight. No idea. Right, that's the Yankees, and they're the best team in the American League East and the second best in the American League right now. So they like, you go to the Astros, a great team, closer shaky. I'll take my chances against Ryan Presley. You go to the Dodgers, Craig Kimbrell, Dave Roberts is saying, look, when we get to September, October, whoever is pitching the best is going to be the one that's closing the game. So Kimbrell, I know you're a career closer. He's got, the ring with the Red Sox and everything else, but he might not be closing. He might not be closing games for that team then. So you have these teams, and the Mets don't have that weakness. Their weakness is, how is Seth Lugo feeling on a Tuesday night when it's 47 degrees and he's got to get out, 2, 3, 4 in, in the
Yeah.
Dodger lineup, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's and if he gets through that, the Mets are going to win. They're going to
Yeah, I mean
win.
that was the thing we were kind of talking last time, right? With the Dave Robertson. I mean, actually, it's funny you want to come back to Mets got to Robertson, but that was the guy I was hoping the Mets were going to get at the trading deadline. I think that's really what they could have used to help solidify that 7-8 in the in the game to back it up and set up for Diaz. And I think they're taking a little risk on there. They're going to have to try and hope that they can stitch it together with some of the younger guys going into the pen for the postseason. Hoping that May finally turns the corner. I don't know. It's not looking great so far. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, having the top 2 starters and then the top closer in the back end. I mean, that's kind of the way the Yanks did, right, for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a pretty good way to go. Makes your manager look smart.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit and fire through these next few segments. But first, we're gonna talk a little bit about the people who help us get here and stay here. Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Book online at Gatto Acu, GATTOACU.com, or call 551-212-3845, 551-212-3845, or book online at GattoAcu.com. Dr. Melissa has helped me out with my bum left shoulder, and she is always there for me and for you if you need your health and wellness picked up. She's got many tools in her arsenal. Go on our YouTube page and look at my little visit with Dr. Melissa at GattoAcu.com.
Right
the
there.
Mascolo Group, Dawg. Serving all of your real estate needs in the Northern and Pascack Valley and all of Northern New Jersey. Go to GaryMascolo.com or call 201-615-3665, GaryMascolo.com, or 201-615-3665. The Mascolo Group, all of your real estate needs in the Pascack Valley, the Northern Valley, or anywhere in Northern New Jersey. Dawg. Printing and promotional needs, one place to go, fmsgraphics.com. fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. A family-run, family-owned business for over 50 years. fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. Dawg, do you know whose birthday it is? I'll give you a hint. There's one advertiser left, and it's his birthday.
Oh, Big Ed!
Happy birthday, Big Ed!
Actually, it was funny. I was thinking I really need to get the truck washed.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Big Ed, actually.
Yeah, Dawg, you might have to.
If I had a little more time after our little boat trip, I was actually thinking about it. So
in-person show this weekend with a little stop by Big Ed's, maybe. Yeah,
we should get Boomer in there too.
Oh yeah, that's 2
Knock it
weekends.
all together.
That's 2 weekends. That's 2
Less
weeks.
than 2 weeks.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh,
2 weekends, less than 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
Big Ed's Car Wash, Fair Lawn, New Jersey, at the Bergen County and Passaic County areas where those two meet. So if you're in Bergen County or Passaic County in New Jersey, you got to stop by Big Ed's Car Wash. He does everything clean and green. And tell Big Ed that Diamond Diehard sent you, and tell him happy birthday, because I got to tell you, one thing I love about our sponsors, they are really good people. Like, really, at any one of them, I would sit now, some of them might be even related to me, but any one of them I would sit down and have in my house, having drinks, dinner, whatever. These are good people doing hard work and running their own great, small businesses, the backbone of our American economy, Dawg. That is Gatto Acupuncture, the Mascolo Group, fmsgraphics.com, and Big Ed's Car Wash. Okay, transition. Fernando Tatis does the apology thing in the dugout earlier in this day, and now he is slated for shoulder surgery. So the 80-game suspension, okay, looks like he was probably going to miss a lot of time anyway. We get, the guy who last year, Dawg, we were so excited about this guy. We were so excited to watch him. And it's such a disappointment. The Padres go, they make this big move for Juan Soto. They're so far behind the Dodgers for the division because they've played, solid baseball, but the Dodgers have bulleted the blue sky and taken over the best record in the league. So the Dodgers have, run away with the division. Padres will still be in there in the playoffs, but they're probably going to end up playing the Braves, and they'll be on the road trying to win 3 games or whatever it is, 2 out of 3 in a 3-game series in the wild card to try to move forward and get into that next round. It's going to be a tough road for the Padres without Tatis. They still could do it, but it's just, dog. I'm just disappointed. Like, I'm disappointed for the
Yeah.
young fans too, who have grown, an attachment to this guy, and they're excited to watch him play, and he makes them want to watch baseball. And now he's just gone. Like, he's just gone. He's just, by the time he comes back, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, him. And now he's got to
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of prove it all over
yeah,
again.
there was such excitement kind of coming in for San Diego, and I think again we sort of been waiting, like you always had the young players, like will they ever get there? Will they ever get there? And like they looked like they were finally starting to line up for it, and like with the money situation, they can't compete all the time, so it's the clock is kind of ticking already with the San Diego, and this was sort of like your prime time for it, and you know that it's a real disappointment. I mean, you want to see a good young player like that kind of come along and really be a highlight for that franchise, and it just gets blown up for him. And roughly it's rough enough with the injury, and then you get the PED on top. This really sort of takes the I don't know, take some of the excitement and the fun out of it. So we'll see. Yeah, maybe he's made a mistake. He'll come back and shake it off, right?
By the way, the Yankees just turned a ridiculous double play on Tomas Nido, and that saved
I
a
uh,
run. Whew.
yeah, but I looked down, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, I missed the actual play, but
It was you'll the people who are
hot.
watching
It was
and
basically a hot
have
smash. Looked like the second.
if they have the no, it wasn't. It was like more like a slow tapper, and IKF had to run in to grab it, and he did a quick shovel sort of behind him to Cabrera, who just snagged it and chucked it to first and
Oh,
beat Nito.
okay.
So if it's anybody but Nito, they probably beat it out
Beat
and the
down to
run
get the run
scores.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That,
well, it's good to see Nito back anyway, right?
true.
All right. On to a little further up the West Coast, Buehler has the second Tommy John surgery. So, dog, it's not, and it's so funny as I say that because on SNY the Walker Buehler Car Shield commercial is on. They're not a sponsor yet,
Yet.
so no freebies for them. But how much does that damage the Dodger chances here? Now they're trying to win a World Series without Scherzer and Bueller, let alone Bauer, right? Like who's just
Fun
we haven't
factor.
even thought about him being in the mix for a long time. But imagine the difference in your starting rotation, what it looks like with Bueller, Bauer, and Scherzer, as opposed to Urias, Gonsolin, and what Dustin May. Is he going to be the one that's in there? I mean, he's just coming back from his own. Was he Tommy John? Yeah, I think he was Tommy John, and he had a great first outing. But like, I kind of feel like when you kind of don't want to say it because the Dodgers have just played so exceptionally well, and those guys haven't been a part of it. Bueller had what 11 starts this year or something, 12 starts. Maybe it was more, but those guys really haven't been a part of it, and the Dodgers still have the best record in the league. But typically, dog, right, in that playoff situation, when push comes to shove, the good pitching does beat the good hitting. And the Dodgers probably have the best hitting overall, top to bottom, and the most versatile hitting. Not as, more versatile than the Yankees. They don't have to hit home runs to score runs. But I don't know. I think that if I'm the Mets, I'm taking my chance against the Dodgers there. Taking my chance.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly tightens it up for you. I mean, it's just funny. I was just looking at the runs scored and runs against here, and the 260 of the plus 260 of the Dodgers, which is just ridiculous. But Dodgers scored 50 more runs, so 642 runs versus 592 for the Mets, which the Mets are actually kind of hanging in there with that. But the runs against 382 for the Dodgers versus 468 for the Mets. Just huge, and sort of highlighting how valuable that pitching is. Like I said, like you pointed out, right? deGrom coming back for the Mets, right? So Scherzer out for a little bit, coming back for the Mets. Some of those guys coming, not coming back for the Dodgers or going out for the Dodgers. Maybe that tightens it up a little bit more. Again, I think you still have to favor them. They have the experience. Obviously Scherzer and Lindor have experience with the Mets, but the rest of the Dodgers obviously much more experience, and likely home field as well. So yeah, still an uphill battle, but yeah, Buehler's a huge loss, right? I mean, he's a great pitcher, and it definitely tightens it up.
And I know Bueller doesn't necessarily have the best record in the postseason, but he was the guy that they had to call on to pitch on 3 days rest last year when, Scherzer couldn't do it. I think that's a big thing for the Mets too. They have to be able to make sure they're not asking Scherzer to have to do something like that. And I think they're in good
Yeah,
shape to avoid that situation. But it does remain to be seen if teams could get to Scherzer or DeGrom and not have them complete, say, a sixth inning. That's where the Mets are going to get in trouble. And if they can win those types of games, they're just going to keep winning series. And if they don't win those type of games, that's where teams like the Dodgers could really get them because the Dodgers could wear you out, and the Dodgers are the type of team that can do that and hang around, and they know how to win. But yeah, the 260 run differential on the plus side is it's more than double the Mets plus 124, which is impressive enough in and of itself. The Astros are plus 151 and the Yankees are plus 186 as of the time we're doing this. So the only other teams that are over plus 100 are the Braves at 118 and the Cardinals now at plus 111. And they've jumped out to a 4.5 game lead over the Brewers for the NL Central. And Albert Pujols, we didn't even put him in the rundown, but he seems to be turning back the clock as our pal at Not Gaetti on Twitter reminds us constantly that he's actually raised his career OPS with the numbers that he's put up this year, and he's hitting at a pace better than any season he ever had with the Angels, which leads us to our next segment here, which is the Angels announced today that they are pursuing options that could also include Arte Moreno finally selling this team. And it's interesting, Dawg, because he when he came in there, they got a ring, and he was lauded and applauded for that. And since then he's chased after position player after position player and throwing big money at it. Pujols being the centerpiece of that, right?
yeah.
And it just hasn't worked out, right? Like they've had these great players, and it just hasn't translated into any kind of consistency in winning. Mike Trout's played in the playoffs 1 year in his career, and now what I found interesting, Dawg, was you have this fan base in Anaheim. Listen, they're fighting the Dodgers and maybe even to a certain degree, maybe the Padres, probably not as much, but they're fighting the Dodgers as the the little brother in there. But that doesn't mean that they don't have their legions of loyal fans. The quote unquote second team in a market often does have a fairly loyal fan base. Mets don't count. Mets, New York's different. Mets have enough of a fan base that they're not the Angels of New York. I mean, come on. Um,
By the way, Nimmo's not a four. Nimmo just made a great play in center field.
so
Those of us haven't been watching along here.
Dawg says it, and then I see it happen. I don't know.
That was a great play. He got a little late start, in fairness.
Well, he took the step back, which is kind of what you're supposed to do, right? But anyway, so what I thought was interesting about
actually,
all
it's funny,
this
Riz,
stuff,
remember we were talking about Otani and like what are they gonna do when they got to trade Otani? I'm like, if you trade Otani, you're pretty much saying your franchise is over. I'm like, then it turns around, the guy doesn't do something about it. Also, it's like, hey, you know what? We listened to Riz the dog and realized the jig is up. It's time to sell.
time to sell, baby. Give
I
the
guess
people
also
what they
I'm
want.
like, you know what? I didn't get rid of Otani.
I know. Would you want to be the person who got rid of Otani? I wouldn't.
That yeah, maybe that's it.
So, Dawg.
They need
So,
the
Dawg,
new guy to come in and pony up the money for it.
so where I saw this earlier in the day on Tuesday, the 23rd of August in 2022, was on a retweet, like with like he retweeted it and had his own comment from the great number 29, Rod Carew, who, our age people think of him less as a twin and more as an angel because we watched him, only probably a couple of years that we remember with the Twins and a lot of years that we remember with the Angels where he was, brilliant in both, a great Hall of Famer and a very good follow on Twitter. And Rod Carew said maybe this is my chance to, get back involved with the Angels. So, I mean, his like how is like oh God, Rod Carew like not being, welcome or happy with being part of the Angels is just I don't know. It's like disgusting. It was like when Yogi Berra wasn't welcome with when he was, he had a rift with the Yankees and wouldn't go back. Like you have to fix that. And
Yeah.
if Arte Moreno selling the team means Rod Carew is back in the fold, then we need that to happen. That's not just a byproduct to me. That's a reason. And if Rod Carew of all people uh, just disapproves of the way that often through the years great franchise has been run, I hope they right that wrong.
Yep.
Rod Carew needs to be back in. These Dog. One of the things like when we talk about this show, and we talk about like offline the directions that we want to go in. One of the things that I think about often is so many of these players that we watched. Um, I'd like to have them on, and I'd like to do more of that where we're talking to them, because unfortunately, as you know, uh, these it doesn't last forever, right? And if you have a chance to be able to chronicle that and to talk to these people and have your own conversation with them in your own way and do your little part there. Um, to me, that's exciting and valuable, and it might not be as valuable, today, or it might be exciting when you're doing that show, but then 10 years, whatever, when eventually, as you know, Father Time is undefeated, to have that stuff there is is valuable. And I think of like a guy like Rod Carew like that. Now, listen, I don't know if we're a big enough show to be able to land a fish like that, but
That'd be cool.
but that's the stuff that I think about when I
Well,
think of like how could like if I'm an Angels fan and I'm our age and I want to go to the games and I know my team sucks, but like okay, I'll go watch Otani and I'll go watch Trout and I'll go watch bench coach Ray Montgomery and and I want to look on that wall and see the 29 of Carew and I like if Rod Carew is showing up at that ballpark, like you know what, I think I'm going to go to that game. I don't have that much else to cheer for right now. I like to see Rod Carew out there, throw out the first pitch, I don't know, just hang out in I don't know. It's like part of the makeup of the franchise.
yep.
So hopefully it works out and Rod Carew and the Angels make up and the Angels fans get the new ownership that they're hoping for. And look, the Met fan was kind of in that predicament, not to that extreme. I mean, I don't think the Wilpons had a bad relationship with their former players, the way that like I don't think there was any rift like this. But the fans were certainly disappointed in Wilpon ownership for a very long time, and now you get a Steve Cohen. And you look where you are,
King
right?
Steve, Uncle Stevie, save us.
Right?
Yes.
He makes the Cano contract a non-issue, right?
Yeah.
Little little
Mixes it up on Twitter. We love him. We love the guy.
little big things like that, right? So
Alex. We like Alex too. She's good follow.
hopefully we find Angels ownership to be the next in that run because I think Steve Cohen's good for baseball. I do, and I think
Yeah.
the Angels could use an owner like that um, out in Anaheim, so we could get that fan base recharged, maybe get that stadium, fixed up a little bit and modernized. I think that might be the oldest one that's out there right now. I know that they've done some stuff there, but um, they could probably use a pretty good update there. Maybe Oakland. Oakland might be the oldest one, but either way. All right, dog. I don't know. Did we go long enough? Do we even bother with a diehard dads here, or do we just wrap it up? What do you think?
Up to you. Your choice.
You know what? Well, I think we could just wrap it. We don't have to go so long. It's the third inning, Yankees Mets. We could go enjoy the rest of the game here with our respective families. Dog's got the Met hat on. I have the Yankee jersey on. Dog, do I need to turn around?
Oh, we know what's on the back.
Yeah, we do.
44.
No, 44 is Reggie.
No, I'm sorry.
There. Can you see the 48, or
48.
am I
I'm
fading
sorry.
out?
I know
The
better.
48 Rizzo.
Sorry. I know
Well, he
better.
was 44. But you can't wear 44 for the Yankees because
Yeah.
that number, like all the other numbers below
So
44,
we're tired for the
retired.
candy bar.
Yeah, it's time for the candy bar. The yeah, so and the most recent one is 21 for Paul O'Neill. That's now
That
been
was a good topic.
retired.
Let's save that one for next time.
Nah, we'll just do it right now. The Clay Bellinger, Cody Bellinger's dad, he's getting his number retired too. And are they going to retire Mickey Klutz's number? Are they going to retire his? What about now? Listen, there's 2 outs in the third inning, and it's 0-0. If he gets this next out, the Yankees have announced that Frankie Montas will have his number 47 retired ahead of the fourth inning. If they score in the bottom of the third. So if they are entering the fourth inning with a lead, Frankie Montas is 47.
He will have
Is
earned
going to be. It's a good topic. It's a good topic. The first
Yeah.
one, the Clay Bellinger one, I kind of did steal that from Mad Dog. I'm not gonna lie. But that's my way of paying him homage.
Come on.
But listen, I was on top of this in the Fordham chat. Like Paul O'Neill, listen, he was a very good player.
Very good player.
He was in the middle of everything, but you know, against lefties, career 247 average, 312 on base, 699 OPS. I mean, that's not,
Not good. Not
that's
good.
not that. I mean, you just bring in
It's not retired the number. So.
that's you bring in any lefty to face him, right? And look, the Yankees they've just retired so many numbers. I kind of like what if you I'm not the first one to come up with this thought, but I kind of feel like if you make the Hall of Fame and you did play the majority of your career with that team, that's a good case to have your number retired.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
And there's a couple of other exceptions, like Munson, obvious exception, right?
Yeah.
Because if he had stayed around, he's probably was headed to the Hall of Fame. Mattingly's an interesting one.
Yep.
Because he's kind of like a beloved by the fans
Yep.
guy. But like
Yeah,
these other ones,
those are our talking, right? If there's something special to it, or like, this guy probably should have been in the Hall, but not going to vote a certain way. I think Keith just retired for the Mets. I think Mattingly's pretty much spot on with the Yankees as well. That you could argue that arguably they're at that cusp. Maybe not all the voters are going to see it. Certainly have a special place in the heart for the New York fans. So that one, those to me sort of make sense. Maybe a David Wright eventually for the Mets. Maybe a guy who was on that track and then got hurt, knocked off it. Kind of same with Mattingly, right? Mattingly would have had the numbers to get in the Hall straight up if the back hadn't act up on them. So that you can kind of argue that at their peak and for a while they were at that level of player. With O'Neill, I kind of just kind of look at it. He had a good peak. I mean, it was not a super long. It was 5 or 6 years. It was right when the Yankees were good.
What was the early part of when they were good? Really?
Yeah, you could argue he helped lead it, right? I mean, like he was sort of 94 to 99, 2000 was sort of his thing. So he was kind of just before it. Obviously at the time of the Reds too. Book ended around not that great, honestly. The benefit being Yankee Stadium, clearly. And the Reds before. I mean, Riverfront wasn't real hard when they hit out of either. Good player. A good identity with the Yankees, but not to the same degree, I don't think. Obviously it's a Yankee fan. You tell me if I'm wrong. So it just kind of felt like, he's a good player, he's a good guy, all-timer, stadium, and so forth. But I don't think he's a hang the number on the wall. kind of guy.
Dawg, who's your favorite Yankee that you've bashed that's on the current team? It's like our kind of running joke, right? Which guy?
Hicks.
Yeah. What number do you know what do you
Sorry.
know what do you know what number Aaron Hicks wears? Can you tell me that?
No. Ah, one that should be retired.
31, right?
Eddie.
So Dave Winfield's number is not retired for the
Yeah, and
Yankees.
that's the other thing, right? I mean, when you're the Yankees, I mean, I would give credit, right? I mean, you trot around the history all the time, but I mean, it's true, right? I mean, you've got two Hall of Famers you got to retire eights for, right? I mean, that's that level. Like, the Mets, no, we don't have that. We've got two or three guys who sort of got in, and they get their number time. Like the Yankees, I mean, you've retired a lot of numbers already. They've kind of gone through a lot. You really need to, you know, overwhelmingly make the case. And yeah, like I said, I don't think that's the situation with that. Do you think with Big Daddy, like just the sort of the riff with Steinbrenner and just obviously had more time with San Diego, a little bit of time with Toronto after and so forth. Does that sort of
Yeah,
take
it's
it?
the
I mean,
Steinbrenner thing. It's the
yeah,
Steinbrenner thing totally. That's the reason why it's not retired.
yeah.
As long as the Steinbrenner, I think it was actually Mike Serra that even said it. That as
Mr.
long
and Mr.
as
Mick.
as long as the Steinbrenners own the Yankees, Dave Winfield's number in New York is going to be available. And the number
Yeah.
31 will be in play. But it's kind, 31 versus 21. I mean, there's not even a compare. And
Yeah.
somebody made the case. Well, his actually their Yankee OPSs were kind of close.
Yeah, I think
Look,
I was actually surprised by that. Like
yeah, but it was a different era.
yeah.
Winfield was
And
hitting in a
the
much.
defense is night and day.
Yeah, I mean, O'Neill was a good above average defensive player. Dave Winfield was great.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was great. So you can't even, that's again, it's not the problem with doing this stuff, Dawg, is that you always, when you make these criticisms, it makes it look like you're knocking the player. Like it makes it look like I'm knocking Paul O'Neill. It makes it look like I'm knocking Jordan Montgomery. I'm not knocking these guys. I mean, I couldn't do
You're
what
knocking
they
Jordan
do.
Montgomery.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not knocking him. I'm saying
not
all I'm
knocking
saying
Paul
is
O'Neill. So
I'm not knocking Paul O'Neill. I was the one when we
I
were
know.
at Fordham, and he was I was the one who discovered him on the Stratomatic team, and I was calling him Shaq.
Yeah, well, he was off his ass for your team.
I know. You know why? Because
I'll say, what? He was a Yankee O'Neill for you when he was a Red. That's the
I
problem.
know. Yeah, he was. He was. And you know why he was so good for my Stratomatic team then, Dawg? Because he never saw a lefty. He was long gone. He was long gone when Boomer was bringing in Paul Assenmacher.
All right, we're going off the rails now.
I know.
We're going to die hard dads for this.
Shit. Damn it! I'm
Oh,
trying to
awesome.
think of that right-handed Reds second baseman, middle infielder guy that he crushed lefties for me. I can't. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I gotta look it up. Say something funny, Dawg.
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the guy now too. I can't remember.
Uh,
All I can
oh
think of is
man,
the squirrel. Rick Riley.
Greg Briley. Let's see. All right, let's see if I could get it here. Not him. Not him. Not him. Oh no! It was
Luis
Tracy.
Silva?
It was the outfielder. It was Tracy Jones. Tracy Jones and Paul O'Neill. That was the best platoon ever. That was like a real life platoon. I think they kind of platooned in real life. Here, Tracy Jones splits, 1988. Let's see. Yeah, Tracy Jones against lefties, 1988. 351, 419 on base, 460 slugging, 879 OPS.
Lefty masher.
11 steals, let's see, 18 stolen bases, 6 caught. Yeah. Tracy Jones, he was
G.
that
Jones.
guy killed lefties. Killed them enough. So once you got through Paul O'Neill, you had to deal with Tracy Jones. Real life. We got to get Tracy Jones on the show. And we got to add, you know what the first question's going to be, Dawg? How come the Reds haven't retired your number 29?
True story.
True story. Oh boy,
Oh boy.
yeah,
Yeah,
Tracy Jones. That was a great year. 295 he hit. Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
so,
That was just oh wait, that was a yeah, 295 cuz he was on the Expos that season too. He split 88. And then after that he didn't do that much. He had a little resurgence with the Mariners in a few at bats in 1990. But yeah, no, only this show you're talking about Tracy Jones's 1988 splits, folks. That's
we
what
should get him on the show.
Uh,
Come on, T. Jones. Throw
by
some
the way,
love.
thank you for acknowledging Uncle Paul in the comments. I did give Uncle Paul the heads up. We did figure out Uncle Paul. Why Uncle Paul's probably he's probably saying you told me you were going to start at 6:30 and you started more like 7. Well, it was I think it was 6:53 Eastern. But Uncle Paul, we had to fix a little technical difficulty where the Zoom that we use for video and audio was not matching up with on my end with the voice. So a credit to producer Xavier who did jump in and help us with that. And I think with that, as the Yankees are still through 3 innings looking for their first hit, and the Mets through 3 innings are tied 0-0 with the Yankees, and you were worried about Taijuan Walker, and meanwhile he hasn't given up a hit. And what I need tonight in the same game parlay is hits. I need hits from a few guys and some strikeouts. I got to look at. I got as long as we got two. I think I needed 2 strikeouts from Walker and 3 from Montes. I don't know. I went on the low end there. I'll tell you offline, doggy.
There we go.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. Follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy8. That's the number 8. You can follow me on Twitter at Diamond Diehards. And we have the Diamond Diehards handle on pretty much every social media. If you haven't checked out our Facebook group, then you need to go do that right now, because if you did check it out, you would be able to have watched this live, like Uncle Paul and like Paul Morisco, a couple of Pauls in the house, and Mike Serra, among others. Those are the ones that that checked in on the chat tonight, and a few of our other favorites maybe didn't get to check it out, but we like them. Georgia Morez, a few others. And again, we need your support. And that means if you are on iTunes or Spotify or Amazon Podcasts, go hit the subscribe or follow button, because we do need to build out our community there. And that's really ultimately, the videos and stuff are good, but really in the end, probably that's where we need the most support on those podcasting apps. So if you're just joining us and you've fallen into it, go hit that subscribe or follow button. And the polar bear just breaks a bat over his knee after he strikes out. Oh boy. Oh, the humanity.
He's been in a slump. Polar bears having some tough times right now.
He got beat by a high fastball that he usually handles.
I want Walker making that pitching ninja tonight with the splitter. It's pretty impressive.
It's a pretty damn good pitch.
So Rob Friedman, good. He's a good follow.
Oh, he's a great
pitching
follow.
ninja.
I wish we had his numbers. I wish we had 1/10 of his numbers. All right, that's going to wrap it up. I think you got all the information that you need here, and thank you so much for your support. It's a podcast about baseball and about life, and we appreciate you joining us. For the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.